The students, yesterday we got introduced ourselves to the author, John Galsworthy, of the story Quality. And we just started off the lesson. We have seen in the first two paragraphs how the author got himself introduced to Gessler brothers, and then he speaks about how different they were from others. The shop of Gessler brothers had no attractions and no advertisements, just the name alone was written, Gessler brothers. And then he speaks about the wonderful boots they made. The boots were so wonderful, so elegant that people's mouth would water. Such was its greatness. And they looked like 100 years old. That is to speak of its endurance. The special way it is made, and it was an epitome of endurance. They worked hard to make the shoe, and they made shoe only when it was ordered. We shall look at the third paragraph. These thoughts, of course, came to me later, though even when I was promoted to him, at the age of perhaps 14, some inkling haunted me of the dignity of himself and brother. So 14 years ago, when he was 14 years old, he was introduced to these people. Promoted means advertising or introducing one product. So here he became familiar with the Gessler brothers when the author was 14 years old. And then what happened? There was some inkling haunted me of the dignity of himself and brother. Inkling is some kind of a slight knowledge of what is going to happen. A knowledge of what is going to happen, what is going to come. Haunted me means visited me very often, frequented. So this kind of inkling frequented me of the dignity of himself and brother, Gessler brothers. For to make boots, such boots as he made, seemed to me then and still seems to me mysterious and wonderful. Mysterious means difficult to understand. So, how did they make such a beautiful boots? Nobody can understand. Even that time I did not understand. Even now I am not able to understand how they were able to make such beautiful, marvelous boots that would make your mouth to water. I remember well my shy remark one day when stretching out to him my youthful foot. Isn't it awfully hard to do, Mr. Gessler? And his answer, given with a sudden smile from out of the sardonic redness of his beard, it's an art. So the author remembers one incident when he was very young. Once he was stretching out his foot to make measurement, to make boot for the first time. Gessler brothers will take the measurement. So he was stretching out his legs to give measurement, and the author asked Gessler brother, one of the brothers, isn't it awfully hard to do, Mr. Gessler? Awfully means very badly. Is it not so badly, so difficult? It is very, very unpleasant or so difficult to make boots. What do you say? He asked. And his answer, given with a sudden smile from out of the sardonic redness of his beard, it's an art. Sardonic is humorous, but with a certain amount of sarcasm. So, humorous and at the same time satirical, mocking. So, mockingly he said, and with a smile and humor, what did he say? It's an art. Being Germans, they had difficulty in pronouncing T. So he could not say it is an art. Actually, wanted to say is it is an art. Instead of that, he said it is an art. So shoemaking is an art, he said. Himself, he was a little as if made from leather, with his yellow crinkly face and crinkly reddish hair and beard, and neat folds slanting down his cheeks to the corners of his mouth, and his guttural and one-toned voice, for leather is a sardonic substance, and stiff and slow of purpose. Now the author is describing how the person is. So, description of the person. Description of Gessler brothers. Description of Gessler brothers. The author is describing how the Gessler brothers looked like. Himself, he was a little as if made from leather. So this Mr. Gessler, he looked as if he is made from leather. Made from leather means made out of leather. Boots or shoes are made out of leather, and it looked himself, that is Mr. Gessler himself, was made out of leather. With his yellow crinkly face. Crinkly means wrinkles, having wrinkles, foldings. You know, when people grow old, your great grandmother, or grandmother if they are grandparents, if they are very old, you'll see their face, there is foldings on the skin. That is called crinkly. Crinkly face means having wrinkles or lines or foldings on the face. So yellow crinkly face and crinkly reddish hair and beard. How the author uses the language? Crinkly is foldings. Foldings on the skin, on the face. That is the crinkly face. Foldings on the beard, that is a crinkly beard. And there is a folding on the hair, that is a crinkly hair. Beautiful. So with his yellow crinkly face and crinkly reddish hair and crinkly beard and neat folds slanting down his cheeks to the corners of his mouth. And there is a folding. It is coming down up to his cheek, coming up to here. To the corners of his mouth, that is the foldings from here, it comes down. And his guttural and one-toned voice. Guttural voice means harsh voice. Harsh voice. Unpleasant voice. For leather is a sardonic substance and stiff and slow of purpose. So grimly humorous. Substance and stiff and slow of purpose. Stiff means hard and slow of purpose means rigid. So leather is a stiff thing, hard thing, and it's rigid. Not so easy to work with leather. You know that goods made out of leather, very difficult to tear them. They are so strong. Leather is very strong. I remember once I went to a shop to buy a bag, leather bag. and they have a piece of leather cut out from the same stuff of which they have made the bag, and that will be left inside the bag. And the shopkeeper told me, sir, you take this one piece, and if we can tear it, whatever the price of the bag, we will give you freely. If we can afford to tear it, the bag will be given to you freely. And I tried, I couldn't do it. It was very hard, very stiff, very rigid. So leather is rigid. It is very, very tough. And it looked like Mr. Gessler also was like a leather. It had foldings, but very hard, and he was behaving like a leather. Himself, he was a little as if made from leather, with his yellow crinkly face and crinkly reddish hair and beard and neat folds slanting down his cheeks to the corners of his mouth, and his guttural and one-toned voice, for leather is a sardonic substance and stiff and slow of purpose. So he is stressing the word sardonic. That is it's a sarcastic way of saying that Mr. Gessler is made out of the leather. And that was the character of his face. Normally we speak about character of the person. Now the author is speaking about the character of the face. And that was the character of his face, save that his eyes, which were grey-blue, had in them the simple gravity of one secretly possessed by the ideal. So everything was perfectly fitting the character of a leather. The character of his face was just like the character of leather, but for the eyes. Only the eyes were different. What was the color of the eyes? They were grey-blue. Normally Germans have blue eyes. German boys have blue eyes. You remember last year you must have studied about the German boy. So like that, the Germans have blue eyes, but here it was a combination of grey and blue. So but for the eyes, everything was that of a leather. His elder brother was so very like him, tough, watery, paler in every way, with a great industry that sometimes in early days I was not quite sure of him until the interview was over. So you remember that they are Gessler brothers, two brothers, elder brother and younger brother. Now the author is speaking about the younger brother. In the beginning, whatever he spoke so far was about younger brother. Now he is speaking about the elder brother. His elder brother was so very like him, though watery, paler in every way, with a great industry. So what was the difference? He was watery. Watery is, he was little more active, energetic. He was little more active and energetic than his younger brother. But he was also behaving just like his brother. It is very hard to talk to him. Watery means very hard to talk somebody, quite boring. Very boring to deal with. He was paler in every way. Paler means he was weak in every way, with a great industry. What is industry? Industrious person means hardworking. With a great industry means great hard work. That sometimes in early days I was not quite sure of him until the interview was over. Till the interview was over, I couldn't make out one from the other. Both brothers looked alike, except very, very minute differences. Both of them looked the same. Then I knew that it was he. If the words, I will ask my brother. So this is a key word, keywords. This sentence is the key to understand who is speaking, whether it's elder brother or younger brother is speaking. You can make out from the key given. These are the key words. That is, I will ask my brother. I will ask my brother means I will ask my brother. Then I knew that it was he if the words, I will ask my brother had not been spoken. And that if they had, it was his elder brother. So if the person, one of the brothers, if the person does not say, I will ask my brother, then he is a younger brother. And if the person says, I will ask my brother, it means he is a elder brother. So who was the main man in charge? Though they were equally sharing, the man who was in charge was the younger brother. The whole affairs were managed by younger brother. So if you ask anything from the younger brother, he will answer. But if he is elder brother, he will not have an opinion of his own or decision of his own. He has to ask his brother. So he will say, I will ask my brother and let you know. So if he says like that, then it is the elder brother. If he answers, then it is the younger brother. When one grew old and wild and ran up bills, one somehow never ran them up with Gessler brothers. It would not have seemed becoming to go in there and stretch out one's foot to that blue iron spectacled glance, owing him for more than, say, 2 pairs, just the comfortable reassurance that one was still his client. For it was not possible to go to him very often. His boots lasted terribly, having something beyond the temporary. Some, as it were, a sense of boots stitched into them. So now the author is speaking about the cost of the boots. How did it cost? Was it very costly? Was it affordable? When one grew old and wild and ran up bills. So, ran up bills means to create a debt. Ran up bill means to create a debt. That is, you keep on buying things and you go beyond your income and make a great debt. When one grew old and wild and ran up bills, one somehow never ran them up with Gessler brothers. But buying boots or shoes from Gessler brothers never made you bankrupt. Never made you to borrow money. Why? Because they were at affordable rate. They were very cheap. It would not have seemed becoming to go in there and stretch out one's foot to that blue iron spectacled glance, owing him for more than, say, 2 pairs, just the comfortable reassurance that one was still his client. So, speaking about the person, he was it is not becoming. Becoming means appropriate. Meaning of becoming is appropriate. It would not have seemed appropriate to go in there and stretch out one's foot to that blue iron spectacled glance. Blue iron spectacled glance means he had blue eyes. The blue eyes looked through the iron spectacles. Therefore, blue iron spectacled glance. Glance means look. The look of Gessler brothers through the iron spectacled glance, and his eyes were blue. So it's combined all together and made a phrase. That blue iron spectacled glance, owing him for more than say 2 pairs, just a comfortable reassurance that one was still his client. To make sure that you are a client of this great boot makers, someone can or could offer to buy only 2 pairs of boots. That was more than sufficient. More than 2 you should never buy. Why? Because they lasted for so long. So 2 itself is too much. But in order to maintain that you are a client, at least 2 you could buy from Gessler brothers. For it was not possible to go to him very often. Not possible to go to Gessler brothers often. Why? His boots lasted terribly for a long time, having something beyond the temporary. Temporary means lasting for a short time. Temporary. Beyond the temporary means lasting for long time. So the boots made by Gessler brothers were lasting for long time. Some, as it were, a sense of boot stitched into them. It looked as if the essence means spirit. The spirit of boot has been stitched into it. So beautiful, so fantastic, and lasted for quite long time, and they were at affordable rate. By buying boots from Gessler brothers, nobody became bankrupt. One went in, not as into most shops, in the mood of, please serve me and let me go, but restfully, as one enters a church and sitting on the single wooden chair waited, for there was never anybody there. Soon, over the top edge of that sort of well, rather dark and smelling soothingly of leather, which formed the shop, there would be seen his face or that of his elder brother peeping down. So normally when we go to shop, we are in a hurry. Please get me this one or get me that one. I want this one. I want to finish my purchase and get shop. The attitude was entirely different. One went in not as into most shops, in the mood of, please serve me and let me go, but restfully, as one enters a church and sitting on the single wooden chair, waited, for there was never anybody there. It was like going into a church. When you go into a church, you are not in a hurry. You are going there to spend some time with God. So you go slowly, peacefully, get inside, silently you sit there. So Gessler brothers shop, one who enters Gessler brothers shop, the same feeling was there as if you are entering a church. And when you enter there, there will be only one chair, not many chairs, only one single chair. And you will get seated on that chair and nobody will be found around. Soon over the top edge of that sort of well, rather dark and smelling soothingly of leather, which formed the shop, there would be seen his face or that of his other elder brother peering down. Then soon you'll find from top of it, there are 2 stairs, 2 floors. So shop is down floor and the workplace is on the top. So then soon you'll find at the top edge of that sort of well, rather dark and smelling soothingly of leather. What is the ambience of the place? It was dark and smelling soothingly of leather. The smell of the leather was in the atmosphere and it was not well lighted. It was dark. And you'll find somebody looking from top, which formed the shop. There would be seen his face. His face means younger brother's face or that of his elder brother peering down. Peering down means look closely, trying to find out who is there. Looking down very closely. It will be either younger brother or his elder brother. A guttural sound and the tip-tap of vast slippers beating the narrow wooden stairs, and he would stand before one without coat, a little bend in leather apron, with sleeves turned back, blinking, as if awakened from some dream of boots, or like an owl surprised in daylight and annoyed at this interruption. So then he will come down and he would have a guttural sound and the tip-tap of bass slippers. Bass slippers are bast is slippers made out of fiber framework. So fiber collected from trees. That means maybe a wooden pair of boots or slippers. So fiber made from trees, that is a bast. So when he walks on the floor, you know the top floor is made with wood. So when he walks on the wooden floor, you can hear the sound of tip-tap, tip-tap, the sound of the foot resting on the wood. And he would stand before one without coat, a little bend in leather apron, with sleeves turned back, blinking as if awakened from some dream of boots. So everything is connected with leather and boots. And how will the younger brother look? As if he had just awakened from a dream of boots, or like an owl surprised in daylight and annoyed at this interruption. You know that owls, they are nocturnal birds. They are active and they can see well at night, not in the daytime. Daytime they will be sitting on a tree and sleeping. If somebody happens to wake them up, they will be interrupted. They will be disturbed. They don't like to be disturbed. So the similar kind of feeling was there on the face of a younger brother, Galsworthy brother. As if they were so busy with their work and they did not like to be disturbed and somebody has come to interrupt their work. That was the feeling we get when they come down. And I would say, how do you do, Mr. Galsworthy? Could you make me a pair of Russia leather boots? Then I asked, how do you do, Mr. Galsworthy? How are you? How do you do? Could you make me a pair of Russia leather boots from Russian leather? Can you make boots for me? Without a word, he would leave me, retiring whence he came, or into the other portion of the shop, and I would continue to rest in the wooden chair, inhaling the incense of his trade. Then he will retire. Retire means to go back. Then he will retire to whence he came. Whence he came from where he came. That is the workplace where he was working on the top floor. Either he will return to the top floor or he will go to the room attached to it. We were already told in the beginning, 2 rooms combined into one, the shop. So you'll go to the other room, other portion of the shop, and I would continue to rest in the wooden chair. I will be sitting in the same chair, inhaling the incense of his trade. Incense of his trade is incense of the leather, the smell of the leather. Soon he would come back, holding in his thin, veined hand a piece of gold brown leather. With eyes fixed on it, he would remark, "What a beautiful piece." So then he will come with a piece of leather. He will be holding it in his hand. His hands were thin and they were veined hand. That is, the veins on the hand were visible. Some people, not everybody, some people's veins are visible. They will be jetting out from the hand and they are visible. So, it was a veined hand and he will be holding this leather which was gold brown. The color of it was gold brown. His eyes fixed on the leather which he is holding in the hand, and he would say, he'll make a remark. What is it? What a beautiful bees. He was not able to pronounce the sound P. So he said, what a beautiful bees. Instead of saying, what a beautiful piece, he would say, what a beautiful bees. When I too had admired it, he would speak again. When do you want them? So, when he says like that, I will also look at the leather and enjoy, oh, what a wonderful piece. When I finished enjoying it, admiring it, he would ask, when do you want them? And I would answer, oh, as soon as you conveniently can. Whenever he can, conveniently means at your convenience. When you are able to finish it, please give me. And he would say, tomorrow fortnight. Tomorrow fortnight. Or if he were his elder brother, I will ask my brother. So if it was younger brother, he will say, tomorrow fortnight. And if it's a elder brother, he would say, I will ask my brother. Thank you.